Hi, I'm Michael Dresser. I'm a body-based touch and relating coach. And yes, you read that right. The title of this course really is Learning to Touch Without Touching Anybody Else. So let me start by asking you a question. Do you remember those classes that you had at school about learning how to touch properly? No, neither do I. That's because most of us really didn't have any formal education at all about touch or how touch works, either physically or emotionally. And so up until recently, most of us were having to try and learn about touch by trial and error, mostly error. And then a global pandemic came along and radically changed our relationship with touch. Now, many of us actually already had problematic relationships with touch before the recent world events, but now it's become even more confusing to contemplate or navigate. On top of all the health risks that touch now potentially comes with, most of us have also been through some quite long periods of lockdown or isolation. And even now, many people are still fearful of engaging with touch and are struggling with the effects of touch deprivation. So how can this course help you navigate back towards a more healthy relationship with touch and with pleasure, and ultimately relating with other people? Well, we don't often think about touch in terms of touching for our own pleasure. So if you think of your hands running over some luxuriously soft velvet, for example, or maybe trailing your fingers through deliciously cool water, we know that things can feel good to touch, but we don't often give ourselves an opportunity to explore this consciously. And this is why learning to touch is really about learning to feel for your own enjoyment. How does it feel when I start to touch in the way that I really want to follow the impulses of what I want, to trust what feels good in my own skin, and to value my desires around that, to value how I want to touch for me. And ultimately, how might I want to touch another person for my own enjoyment without having to achieve a particular goal or outcome? Now, the beauty of this particular learning journey with me is that you don't have to worry about touching anybody else. And taking the other person out of the equation when it comes to touch actually can help sidestep a lot of those things that complicate touch. So your baggage, their baggage, wondering if they're okay when you're touching them, trying to please them with touch, or wanting something in return for touch. When you take all of that out of the equation, what you're left with is purely, how do I want to touch? And how do I want to get enjoyment from touching? And so what you can then start to do is to build a connection with your own body and your own relationship to touch when there isn't anybody else there to complicate it. So this course is self-study. You get to choose your own timing, and you can access it from the safety and the comfort of your own space. But it is also supported, which means that as part of the course, you get to book a live one-to-one video call with me online, which is your opportunity to ask questions and to get some personalized practical support from me with your learning and with any challenges that you might have as you move through the course. There are 7 days of guided step-by-step practices which are simple and straightforward, and I also give you loads of really useful background information to help support your learning as we go along. So check out the webpage for all the information that you need. I'd love to help you move towards more engaged and enjoyable touch, and ultimately towards better relating.